endlessly searching for an original sound.
Hey there guys, with the spooky season here, it's time for the waifu shirt to be retired, and now we have a new limited edition item, one of our nicest, a poster, a special Halloween poster featuring almost every character in our comic with some fantastic horror icons. So you can pick it up exclusively in our store, or if you guys want, through the Patreon, but I'd say get it through the store. Look at how nice this is. I actually have a copy myself, and it's really good. And if that's not your style, we also have cute little stickers. We have the comic book itself, at least issue 1, and more coming. So guys, check out our shop for lots of great things, and let's get back to the game. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the letter. I decided to get a bit more spooky this time. Professor Andrew Clark has agreed to meet with me 2 days later in front of Luxbourne's public library. He has other commitments, but being a long-term family friend has its perks. I have my parents' connections to thank for that. Of course, I'm not the sort to impose on him often, but the situation is, well, it's not entirely bad, although it does require calling in a few favors from friends like him. Without his signature, I won't be able to gain access to the library's restricted section. If I want to get more in-depth information on the Emergard mansion, that is not simply what they choose to show the general public. As much as I hate to admit it, there's always something people censor, and whatever it is, I won't ever find it in the general section. It has to be what they're keeping here, beyond the public's eye. The thought of that alone makes me antsy. Thankfully, I don't have to brood over it. The wait for the professor doesn't last long. He never did enjoy making people wait. Likewise, he dislikes people who are tardy. He arrives 5 minutes after I do, greeting me with that kind smile and casual wave of his hand. I haven't seen him in so long, but it appears that he hasn't changed much. His familiar presence alone is enough for a fond smile to spread across my face.
Professor Andrew!
Rebecca! Didn't I say long ago you can drop the professor?
You know I can't possibly do that. Even if I can, it feels disrespectful to call you by your name alone.
Both you and Ashton never listen to this old man. Kids these days.
All right, but just for today, since you're doing me a huge favor, Andrew.
I guess you simply can't have it all, even at this old age. But pleasantries aren't what we're here for, yes? You mentioned you needed a permit.
Yes, sir, if that's okay with you.
More than fine. Anything in pursuit of knowledge, as they say.
He hands me the permit without further prompting. And just like he promised, he's also written a recommendation after his signature. This is more than enough to get me those files. I mutter a small thanks before slipping it into my pocket. Although when I look back, his brows are furrowed, the very face of curiosity. Not surprising considering how vague I've been during our little talk over the phone. Right then and there, I decided to tell him if he ever asked, maybe not at all, but stuff he needs to know. Yeah, so there's like this letter and this dead woman who's trying to kill everybody, and you know how it goes. It's the least I can do to thank him. As expected, true to his inquisitive nature, he asked.
If you don't mind, though, I know you've always been an eager learner, but may I know what in the restricted section that piqued your curiosity?
It's the Ermengarde mansion, sir.
He's quick to raise a brow at that, and for a while, I fear he'll take the slip of paper back. Is there something in what I said?
The ones they have out in the general isn't enough?
I'm, hoping for a more in-depth read, sir. More about the history and the people who once lived there. The general section doesn't have anything much on that.
Oh, I see. Well, you certainly aren't the first one to be enamored with that place. It doesn't shock me. The architecture is admirable, and the urban legends are something to talk about.
I think enamored might be a little too much to describe our interest in it. But I have to agree. The mansion is beautiful, even with the renovations. They kept the stained glass windows, too. They are magnificent.
Oh, you've seen it.
I was there for a few hours to attend a housewarming party. The invitation was for my parents, but they couldn't make it. My mum used to work as a private tutor for the Evans. Hannah Wright?
Ah, I know of her. Her husband, too. Who doesn't? Luxborn's most popular couple.
Something falls behind his eyes, the warmth in them suddenly gone, like he's reliving a painful distant memory and seeing it play right in front of him. It disappears almost as soon as it surfaces, but that look has unsettled something in me.
Is something the matter?
Nothing much. But you know, you're already like a daughter to me. So if you could, do be careful with the friends you make.
Is this about the Wrights, sir?
Just a friendly advice from an old man. Don't think much about it. Anyway, I have to leave now. Can't miss my weekly serving of bear claws. Say hi to your parents at the detective inspector for me, will you? I wish you luck with all that research.
I will. Thanks for this, Andrew.
Andrew gives my shoulder a light squeeze, a gesture a younger me has always appreciated, and quickly crosses the street after. I watch him until he disappears behind the door to a cafe, until the doubt swimming inside my head finds a moment to rest. Whatever his business is with the Wrights isn't anything I should concern myself about. But somehow, in the grand scheme of things now, all of it feels oddly relevant. The how, though, I've yet to find out. And I'm hoping the library will give me the answers I want this time. On a gloomy Sunday morning... Oh, hey, I'm recording it on a Sunday. The library is especially empty. The second floor in particular. I've always considered this place to be a sanctuary, a respite away from the hubbub of the city. As a child, I grew up reading books here, spending hours here to no end, poring over the pages, living out fantasies in my head until my parents called me home. Now it feels nothing like it. The silence is smothering, suffocating. Even with how clean they've kept the microfiche room, how the entire small of it lacks a speck of dust or clutter, breathing is a struggle for air. Not far into my stay, I begin to long for the noise outside, and perhaps as a way to calm the unease, I start to hum a tune. Imagine that. Why of all things it has to be that silly nursery rhyme? I've no inkling. It does its job, however. It fills the lull with something far less awkward, far less deafening, and that is enough for a distraction. I have business here. No time for silly daydreams, only important work to attend to. Even if there's a responsibility for it being fruitless, by some means it feels like I have to do it. If not for me, then for the people who have been affected by this. What do we even call this? A haunting? A Halloween prank gone wrong? A curse? If Isabella was here, what would she say? Will she panic? Will she be angry if I only listen to her now? It all stems from the one moment in the movie house, doesn't it? We could have avoided this had we only taken her warning to heart. One stupid mistake is all it took to send our lives on a downward spiral. Frankly, I'm no longer sure if I'm angry at myself for it, or at the universe for throwing us into this mess. But we can only make do of what little we have, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Going here might not be the right decision, but it's a start.
A good start.
It doesn't take much time for me to find what I need. A microfiche of old newspapers, long kept in special storage cabinets at the far end of the restricted section. The year is 1620s and beyond. Before the city of Luxborn even existed in the records, when the mansion was just built, and Anselm is nothing more but a small, sleepy hamlet near a river. A lot of pieces are missing. Days, sometimes several consecutive weeks, without any record remaining. Often it goes on for years. Troublesome, but as it is, I'm lucky enough to find anything at all, considering how far I'm looking back. Can't be picky now. Can't waste time mulling over what record keepers of the old could have done to make this a breeze for me.
I can still work with this.
The faint whir of the microfiche machine keeps me company as I go over each slide, each image, hoping for something that goes beyond what the local lore knows. There are snippets, little mentions of the family that once settled in the house here and there. The usual singing of praises for the couple who helped brought up what was a tiny settlement into a buzzing town. Nothing substantial, nothing I didn't know before. It continues on like this for a good while, until I come by the years after their deaths. The people of Anselm might have loved Lord William and Lady Elizabeth Emergard more in their passing, and held them in high esteem in the years after. But it was their daughter that was remembered fondly by the townspeople. If her parents built this town, Lady Charlotte was the one who made it prosper. Remarkable, considering it was a period of recovery from about a plague that killed half the town's population, including her parents. What's surprising, though? Apparently her time also marked more than superficial changes to the place. She moved things, changed laws, altered old customs and traditions. If they were done on a woman's whimsy, it doesn't say, but she seems capable enough for more than that. The gist of it is, the town she rebuilt, it's what eventually grew to become Luxbourne City, while the nearby Anselm village remained as it was, a relic of the old. A frown swiftly formed on my face.
So, why is there a need to hide this?
One by one, I try to recall every lesson I've gone through, every book, paper, and journal I've read. None of these ever mention this. It's always that the lord and lady of the house, their endearing child, always an afterthought to those anecdotes, and the one who always took her life in the end. Never someone who restored the town from the brink of collapse or brought new ideas to it. Is it because she's a woman?
That pisses me off.
Granted, not everything is sunshine and rainbows. Not all aspects of her can be considered admirable. But this is history. Some parts are bound to naturally delve into unpleasant territory, whether I like it or not. Witch hunts, for example, became common near the end of her life, which would have been completely unremarkable and might have gone to become a mere footnote in history if it didn't involve Lady Charlotte and the very slaves she saved. It caused quite a stir, enough to leave almost a week's worth of clippings. The girl was eventually burned, condemned by the entire town, at the word of Lady Charlotte alone. But this doesn't really have anything to do with this curse, does it? Unless that woman following us and this slave are the same person. The tale of revenge, how cliché. However, with the lack of accurate photos, it's impossible to tell. Maybe if I squint, the illustration would start resembling her. But in my fields, it doesn't work that way. It shouldn't work that way. I'll be the laughingstock of the community.
This isn't going anywhere.
Mentally exhausted, I take a careful step away from the screen, pressing a palm to the tired eyes. The lack of ample light in this room doesn't help. A headache already threatens to form at the back of my head, yet I'm nowhere near figuring anything out. This is simply too much to take in all at once.
I should have asked for someone's help.
Now I'm at a dead end. I start gathering everything around me, and placing them back in their respective envelopes for storage. The motions no longer new after volunteering here a number of years ago. I didn't make much mess anyway, considering the lack of materials available to begin with. I'll have to look somewhere else. The where remains unknown though. But just as I'm about to slip the last of the slides in, something catches my attention. My hand pauses, the microfiche halfway through the prospective sleeve. This is one of the few I've set aside without taking a careful look at it. It seems like a gossip column at first glance, but upon closer look, I slide it back to the reader, gently turning the dials in search of the page. It takes some time, but once the image becomes clear, they must have had this drawing commissioned for this announcement. I don't doubt it. The details are far more intricate. Their likeness is likely closer to how they might have appeared at the time. They're both recognizable this way, closer to those paintings I've seen in the mansion. However, it's the man standing beside her, Edouard Godfrey, according to the article that caught my attention previously. Her first cousin and eventually her fiancé. Maybe it's the posture, the manner in which he holds himself. Or maybe it's the shape of his eyes, though I can't be too certain about that until I've gotten better reference. Nevertheless, there is a resemblance. He looks eerily like... My head snaps up, glowering at whoever's running on the floor above. Any day I had marched up and reprimanded whoever it is.
This is a library, for heaven's sake.
But now isn't the time. I've gotten what I need. Without wasting another minute, I hit the machine's print button for a copy of the page, while my other hand moves to put everything back into storage. The ragged exhale slips from me. Relief, perhaps? Or maybe this is already exhaustion? Regardless, soon I'm closing my eyes as I wait for the printer to finish, if only to stave off a headache building up from, well, everything. Sometime, I've even begun humming the same song again for comfort. Despite my doubts about this, despite all the tension in my shoulders, this may be a small find, but at least I can start somewhere. We can start somewhere. There's a way out of this. I know it. The printer sputters to a halt. However, its sound isn't what makes me snap my eyes open. A feeling, a chilly brush of air behind my back. A brief enough for something sickening to suddenly lodge itself in my throat while I take in my surroundings. It's that suffocating sensation again, creeping to every part of me, crawling under my skin, draining me little by little of any strength. From that day in the mansion, from that brief moment at the school, without delay, I grab the papers and make a quick beeline for the door. My whole body freezes.
What are you doing, Miss Pink?
I hold my breath, not daring to make any noise. For a little while, only the sound of papers crumbling under my grasp fill the room. The excitement from earlier gone instantly, replaced by a cold, seeping dread spreading throughout my limbs. But more than the fear is the anger. It pains me to hear her using my own student's voice against me, and more than once I believed it was really her. She has no rights.
Why don't you play with me?
Although she hasn't made a move, if there isn't a wall behind me, I'll probably take a step back. Anything to put distance between us, no matter how small, as long as I'm out of her reach. But I steel myself, because if I do fall back, turn away from her, I'll be left with no way out. I am not dying here.
You think you scam me?
Miss Pink, don't be so rude. I'm waiting.
I'm not afraid of you, you spook! This is one Scotswoman you aren't getting into an early grave without a fight! Come at me!
I expect her to lunge, prove to me what a monster she is. Instead, all she gives me is a smile, twisted and gnarled. It's as if time has crawled to a stop at the sight of it. Excuse me. A split-second decision. And before I know it, my body shifts, my eyes closing in anticipation, hand grabbing whatever's solid enough on the nearby table and hurling it at her. I don't bother looking for whatever I threw, for if whatever I threw hit its mark, I run, as fast as my legs can carry me, despite my heart threatening to burst out of my chest. But in this maze of bookshelves, the whole place almost void of people, is there even a place safe enough that I can escape? Okay, so we have 2 places we can go. Let's head upstairs. There are people upstairs, aren't there? The weekend staff or some volunteer? There should be. Even if it's a Sunday, I'm only here on a special permit. There should be at least one other person manning this place. I heard them a while ago. Of course, I couldn't possibly tell them about this. They won't believe me in the same manner. We didn't buy Isabella's story until it's too late. But I can easily come up with excuses. For now, what's important is I don't end up trapped and alone with her.
Safety in numbers, as they say.
There's no hesitation in my step as I race upstairs, ears straining for any signs or sounds of the woman appearing, jumping at me again at any second. I can still hear her behind me, the grinding of bones, her whisper as she keeps calling me back. Although it's a distance, I don't slow my pace. Library rules be damned. Because no matter how much I pretend to be brave, the level-headed one, or the tough one, this terrifies me. This scares me more than anything. This isn't how I plan to die. But when I get to the 3rd floor, only silence welcomes me, and an emptiness that stretches as far too wide, spanning the entirety of the floor for it to be reassuring. And just behind me, somewhere at the foot of the stairs, panic rises up my throat. No other way now but up. So I bolt, desperation kicking in without warning. I take 2 steps at a time, tripping clumsily over some of it in my last-ditch attempt to escape. But I know. At the back of my mind, I know all of this is futile. With every footfall, with every ragged breath, with every pounding of my heart, it gets hammered to my mind. And it only becomes clear to me once the door at the end opens, revealing the vast expanse of Luxbourne's early morning skyline, and with her treading at my heels, blocking my only way out.
Stay away from me!
A useless plea. Does she even understand a word I say? Can she even... Is she still human in the first place? Somehow I doubt it. Because no human being will ever do this. Simply imagining what she's capable of doing to us. I never want to give her that chance.
I'm telling you to back off!
Her gait is slow as she walks forward, each stride accompanied by the sound of breaking bones, of blood oozing from wounds that never found healing. And with every inch she draws nearer, even as I pull away to take back what little distance I can between us, the smile on her merely grows wider. A mocking gesture. For me. She may be less of a human now, but I'm pretty sure she's fully aware she's got me cornered, and she wouldn't even bother making it here if she isn't. But I can look away, but I can't look away. I can't bring myself. What? I didn't do that. Sorry. But I can't look away. I can't bring myself to. Even as the heel of my shoe eventually hits the edge. End of the line. Trapped. Alone. So, this is how it ends, huh? Quietly and without fanfare. Surrounded not by a warm breeze, but a chilly morning air. No soft footfalls on the empty hallway, but the din of an early morning traffic below. No warm afternoon lights. Nothing but the cold, pungent smell of death, all underneath a dreary morning sky. How fitting. Yet, amidst all of it, there's a single voice I want to hear. If only for the last time.
Becca?
Hey, did I wake you up?
No, I left you a voicemail, so I thought, where are you?
The one I grew up with. Who always got grades better than I did without even trying. Whose silly antics I have to put up with all these years. Who stood by me even when things got tougher. That one person who's been a constant in my life.
Ash, do you remember that one time?
The what?
Back in secondary, we joined a contest back then, didn't we? We had to dress you up as a girl and...
No.
What? You looked really pretty. I think I still have that picture somewhere.
Burn it. We're not talking about that again. You promised. Seriously, what brought this on?
Nothing. It's just the first thing I remembered.
So weird. Despite everything, my lips curl into a smile. Faint, a sad little thing on its own given the situation. Because, even at the very end, I know I have this. The casual talk, the friendly banter, talking like how we always would as children. If only I hadn't been too selfish. If only I haven't taken all of this for granted in favor of my feelings. Then perhaps I won't be regretting anything now.
You're being weird today, Becca. Whatever. Listen, I need you to go home right away. I'm at Salem Well right now and...
I wish time would simply stop for us. There are still a lot of things I want to say. Things I've never bothered saying out loud. Things I should have said a long time ago to someone who has always been by my side. But in this moment, there's only one.
Thanks, Ash.
Hold on, did I do something?
For everything.
Rebecca, what?
I'm so glad to have known you.
Wait, what are you? God damn it, Rebecca, where are you?
A soft click. And I'm closing my eyes. There's a rush of air. The sound of the world dimming around me. Like a song coming to its inevitable end.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down. My fair
Did the game
lady.
freeze? The irony in that is not lost on me. Oh, you only give me 10? There we go. You've unlocked a memory fragment. Alright guys, that's actually where we're going to end it. But next time we really are going to look at the other part of that and see if we could have saved her. So thank you guys for joining me. Check out our new limited edition Halloween poster, which will be up until the end of November. And I hope you guys enjoyed our little Nightmare Suka here. She is our streaming VTuber, and she loves horror. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.